So for context and the reason I'm actually doing this, I was going at about 30 mile an hour the other day and the brake just sheared clean off. There's so many forces going through the master cylinder lever compared to the accelerator, which is absolutely fine. It still works, no problem. But yeah, there's so many forces going through the master cylinder lever, it just snapped the pedal off. So I'm going to take the opportunity and build some hopefully really nice pedals that will hold up to the job and instead of just doing the trick. So yeah, let's get on with it. So I've just finished grinding down what's left of the pedals. The accelerator pedal just ripped off so easily. I'm quite happy I'm doing this redesign. We're now left with lovely clean bits of box section that is completely workable, and I'll paint all of this once I've got the new pedals installed. So the pedals themselves, thought I'd sketch it out for you just so you can sort of visualise it a little bit. So if we look at the box section straight on, it looks something like that. With this bar, going to be 2 bits of the bar going upwards. There's going to be M8 bolt going through the middle of that. Hold that in place. And then got some threaded rod, also M8, but I've also got some M10 threaded rod as well, which I think I'm going to use on the upper portion. So M10 threaded rod there and M8 threaded rod there. Welded on, there, and there. But I'm thinking with this stuff, I'm going to knurl it on the lathe, just give it a really nice grippy texture, make it look really cool as well. So that's the idea. Let's try and execute it. Well, that was a bit of a failure. That was just giving the M10 a go, trying to turn it down and then knurl it, and it didn't like that at all. It just hasn't really done a good job at all. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is definitely going to give the M10 a go, because that's not going to bend as much because it's thicker. And I'm just going to leave this as threaded rod, I think. That'll be fine. So I've knurled both the M10 bits. I changed my tactics this time and I didn't turn them down before I knurled it, I just knurled them. And it's worked quite well. They've done what I wanted to do, and that was to make it grippy. You probably can't see much of a difference on video, but trust me, there is. They're a lot more grippier than just threaded rod now, which is what you want if you've got wet feet trying to press the brake. So yeah, I'll chop the ends of those off from where they've been in the chuck and weld them on. And there you go, the pedals are pretty much done. They work really, really well. I've also, off camera, got the brakes fully working. So I've made a new caliper for that. and yeah, mounted that all up, and now it will lock the rear axle up at any speed, which is what you want. Good brakes. The next thing is now steering. So the problem was last time I was using a go-kart steering system that was designed for track karts. So yeah, it was really good at steering, but really bad for straight line. If you went over any sort of bumps, it'd rip the steering out of your hands. So going for a rack and pinion this time, just a classic kit you can buy. I'm thinking to mount it, I'm going to use some Jubilee clamps and a mounting bar just there, and yeah, have that held in place. It's the easiest way I can do it because the master cylinder of the brakes get in the way, so I think that's probably the best way to do it. It's been about 4 months since that last clip, and this thing's just so annoying because every time you fix one thing, 2 more things would go wrong with it, or 2 more problems would come up on it. And the newest problem is now, I mean, I've got the rack and pinion pretty much set up and working. That's great. I've installed a bar across there because that original bar wasn't strong enough. But it's in, it's fine, happy with it. I did have some rubber tubing that gapped the rose bearings and the front steering. But that would just flex and the wheel will sort of wobble around like that. So now I'm waiting for some metal pipe that's 10mm in internal diameter that I'll weld to there and extend that upwards so it'll be able to be solid. And then maybe finally we might actually be somewhat nearly done with it. I'll paint the pedals at that point at the same time as I'll paint all the new stuff that I've done as well. And then yeah, just trying to get that engine working again. It bogs a lot when you put your foot down, but I think that's because I never warmed it up properly. And also, new fuel tank. Fortunately though, that the pulse pump's now being weird and not working, so I'm just running it gravity again. Just got it hooked up to the top of the fuel tank. That's not permanent. I need to get that fixed, but for the time being, just to make sure the engine still works, that's what I'm running with. This thing is going to be so good once it's done, but until then, it is just so frustrating to work on. But anyway, the build must continue. A week since the last clip and I've got the new metal through. It's a 10mm internal diameter with a 3mm thick wall. Welded that onto there and now it's properly tight and should work. And I say that about everything on this project and it doesn't, but it's gotten to the point now where what else can go wrong on it. Just got to weld that to the other side and we should be ready to go for its first test drive. That was a massive success. I just took it up the garden and there's little to no slack in the steering now. I do need to mess around with the steering angles. It's got a little bit too much toe out at the moment, but the camber's okay. I'm going to take it over the fields now, give it a proper little test, and then yeah, come back, hopefully not have to fix anything. So much power. Nice. Well, that was a massive success for a really good test drive there. It's doing so much better now I've welded it instead of just wedging it. It's still bending a little bit though, so I'm thinking I'm going to make a nice slanted support from the top of there down to there and weld that on, just because it's a lot better, but it just needs that little bit extra and then it should be alright. After that, chain tensioner, I'll do another variable chain tensioner like I did on the truck, because it goes between loose and tight quite on every rotation. So yeah, I'll get a variable chain tensioner. It'll probably be another skateboard wheel there that I'll hollow the inside out of. and then yeah, get the fuel pump working and then paint it, and we should be good. Great, so now that's done, we're moving on to doing the chain tensioner. Tightened up the throttle as well, so that has about the same travel on it now as the brake pedal does. A little bit of slack before it actually initiates, just so if you are going over a bump, put your foot down, you're not going to just mash the throttle and end up in a ditch. So yeah, with the chain tensioner, I've gone for sort of a skateboard wheel, a longboard wheel. Got an 8mm bolt going straight through it because it's a 608 bearing. It's got a spring on it as well, which is very nice clearance around the wheel. Going to make a mounting bracket for it about here. That's just going to push on the chain there. Then I'll probably mount this spring somewhere back there through the chain. It should work. So I've just finished building what is probably the beefiest chain tensioner I've ever made. Yeah, really nice welds on it. I'm really happy with that. And yeah, spins freely and it's properly rigid. It's really nice. So yeah, just got to put it on the cart now. So I've got the chain tensioner done. Drilled a hole through the frame there, and then sort of had that in loose, and then locked these two nuts against each other so it moves around. The spring comes off of there, through there, and then onto the bearing mount. And this thing is solid. It spins quite nicely, and it's got a really good amount of tension. I mean, look at that other side of that chain, just bang. Really happy with how that came out actually. I took massive inspiration from the one that's on the trike, because same wheel, same sort of thing. Then yeah, that's got that done. So strip the front steering apart and paint the frame off again. So there we go. It's not done because, I mean, nothing's ever truly done, especially when it's built by myself, but it's just so amazing compared to how it used to be. That steering is really solid. I took it out over the fields over there at some high speeds. That worked fantastically. It wasn't being ripped from my hand. I had full control. The brakes lock the rear tyres up, as you saw, as I brake slid into that. Now I've got the electric start fully working, fuel pump's back up and running, and those pedals are absolutely fantastic. Really good. But yeah, thanks ever so much for watching. This video has been in the making for quite some time. It's just been like the never-ending overhaul, but here we are. We're finally done. Cheers. I'm Grimy Tech, and I'll see you in the next one.